Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing something we haven't done in a very long time, taking a look at Ryujinx Emulator, which has in the last few weeks seen an absolutely enormous update to its GPU backend. Super Mario Odyssey, the game you're watching right now, is just one of many titles to have significant improvements to rendering. Previously, this game was just a completely blacked out screen with sound and nothing else rendered. This is just one of dozens and dozens of games that have seen graphical improvements. Other games we're going to be taking a look at in this video include The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Let's Go, and even a few games that are booting and rendering graphics on Ryujinx but are not currently booting on Yuzu. Now, before we get started, I am not going to be turning this into a competition of Yuzu versus Ryujinx. Both of these development teams have done an outstanding job at emulating the Nintendo Switch so far, and as I've said in the past before, what can help one emulator is no doubt going to help the other, and as we've seen in the past, there has been some pretty cool cooperation between the devs, so we're not trying to create any kind of bad blood or, as I said, make any kind of comparisons. As users, we just want to see all of these cool upgrades that these developers are giving us time and time again. Let's get back on topic and take a look at just a few of the graphical improvements we've seen. First of all, to Super Mario Odyssey. As I said previously, the only comparison I would be able to make graphically would be the fact that Super Mario was previously just a completely unrendered black screen, whereas now here in Cascade Kingdom it is rendered super well, albeit at much lower performance levels, and for most people it's probably going to be an unplayable performance level. In the top bar of the window you can see game FPS is the number you need to be concentrating on. It's running at around 5 to 7 frames per second depending on where you're looking in game. The most dramatic difference in rendering though is something that we've actually never seen emulated before: the actual cascade or waterfall itself, and there it is, at least somewhat properly rendered on Ryujinx. Graphically in Super Mario Odyssey it is rendered a hell of a lot better than it previously was. The only obstacle right now I would have to say for playability is its very low performance levels. We should remember that this is being run on an 8700K clocked at 5 GHz, and area dependent, the best performance I was able to see was around 20 to 21 frames per second, and even then we were in a very light or undemanding area, just like right here in the outskirts of Sand Kingdom. As I said though, Super Mario Odyssey isn't the only game to see a dramatic improvement in render quality. Pokemon Let's Go has also gone from a completely broken mess to rendering its graphics very well, not just on its title screen but also in gameplay. Now, there are some caveats to these new rendering improvements and we'll get to those in just a moment, but for now let's take a look at what our performance is like in the most demanding place by far in Pokemon Let's Go, the Cinnabar Island Pokemon Mansion. This is it right here, and let's just run inside and see what our performance is like. Not too bad, to be honest. It's running at a little bit over half speed. Again, we need to remember that this is running on a 5 GHz 8700K. As I said, it runs much faster if I get into any battles, so let's just run up to this Magmar and get ourselves into one. We should see our frame rate dramatically jump up, and there we go. It's running at well over full speed at around 39 to 40 frames per second. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to cache all of my shaders for testing in this video, so any of these little pauses you're going to see are simply related to me caching my shaders. Now, I said just a few moments ago that Pokemon Let's Go has some rendering issues. Before we jump back into the overworld and to the Cinnabar Mansion, I want to give you a quick heads up. There is going to be a lot of flickering on screen in a few moments, so please avert your eyes if they are sensitive. And there we go, this is the rendering issue in Pokemon Let's Go of which I spoke. Anytime you exit out of any battles or capture situations, the rendering of either the overworld or any internal areas like here in Cinnabar Mansion is going to become completely broken just like that. Now, you can fix it by just swapping from one screen to the next, just like I've done. When I come back into the Cinnabar Mansion, you can see it's going to be completely fixed graphical wise, but if you do a battle again, it's just going to break over and over again. As I said, there are tons of games that have seen rendering improvements and now even go in-game. Team Sonic Racing is just one of these titles. Funnily enough, this game isn't actually booting on Yuzu Emulator due to unimplemented functions. and even though it is, yes, booting, it is in no way playable on Ryujinx. This is real-time gameplay footage after having cached my shaders for this entire race section. While the title bar appears to tell us that it's running at a fluid 4 to 7 frames per second, it's definitely not fluid at all and should not be considered in any way playable, even though it's rendered basically perfectly. Speaking of new games booting and rendering graphics on Ryujinx, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is also now booting and at least somewhat rendering its graphics correctly. As with Super Mario Odyssey and Team Sonic Racing though, its performance is pretty low, usually staying at around 4 to 6 frames per second with some spikes above 10 when you get a favourable camera angle. Once loaded into gameplay though, it's pretty obvious that the game is really graphically broken, and paired with the low performance of 3 to 4 frames per second, Breath of the Wild is basically unplayable on Ryujinx, at least at this point in time. Regardless of any of the performance issues, it's still really impressive to see how much Ryujinx has improved in the last few weeks, and I definitely look forward to covering it more in the future, especially so since one of the major issues that stopped me from testing it in the past has been at least somewhat fixed. The slow booting of games is nowhere near as much of an issue as it was in the past. Previously, it could take between 10 or 20 minutes to even get into a title screen, let alone gameplay. This has been dramatically improved in newer versions of the emulator, and for this reason, I will be covering it a hell of a lot more in the future. And as always, if there are any games you would like me to test on it, let me know down below this video in a comment. In relation to other games I didn't show in this video, like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, I did test those games out, but unfortunately, at least right now, they are not booting or rendering anything. As with any of the other videos I make on any other emulators, you will find the appropriate links to both this emulator's Discord and also their Patreon fund down in the description of this video. So if you wish to find out any more information from the developers themselves, you can simply either join their Discord, and if you wish to donate and help to support its development, please head to their Patreon and donate or pledge. Before I go, and in relation to Patreons, I want to give a massive thank you to all of the supporters of BSoD Gaming. As always, I cannot even find a way to thank you guys enough. You guys are amazing, helping me to pay for all of my electricity bills, my internet bills, and for many of the games I require for testing in videos just like this one. If anybody out there would like to help with the day-to-day running of BSoD Gaming, please consider heading to the Patreon link for my own channel. You'll find that also down in the description, and either pledge or donate to support. As I always say though guys, these pledges or donations are absolutely not a requirement to get help from me either here on YouTube or over on my Discord server, but they are massively appreciated. So to all of my past, present, and indeed potential future supporters, thank you guys very much. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving it a thumbs up down below, and if you enjoy these types of emulator update videos, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified as soon as I make a new upload. Once again guys, thank you very much for watching, have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one.